Welcome to the webinar on an insight into the BRSR assurance or assessment. And our today's panelist is Mr. Rajesh Patre and Company Secretary and Compliance Officer, Blue Star Limited. Start your presentation.
So the BRSR is intended towards having qualitative, quantitative, and standardized disclosures on ESG parameters. This BRSR enables companies to engage more efficiently, meaningfully with their stakeholders by encouraging them to look beyond financial parameters. So in India, this mandate has started to more focus on the non-financial parameters. So this is the another upcoming area for the value chain partners. SEBI Circular 2023, SEBI has made it mandatory for top 250 listed entities on a comply or explain basis to give the disclosure from financial year 24-25, and also limited assurance was introduced from the financial year 25-26. In the last March 2025, SEBI has given some relaxation. So now this ESG disclosure for value chain will be applicable to the top 250 companies from financial year 25-26 on a voluntary basis. And assurance on the same will be applicable again on a voluntary basis from financial year 26-27. So as we talk about value chain partners, so organization value chain comprises the full range of organizations upstream and downstream. It's just Sir has mentioned about. So it includes entities with which organization has a direct or indirect relationship, supply product or the services, or receive product or the services. The main challenge is first to identify the upstream and downstream partners, and second is the data collection. First of all, to make them aware and make them aware about the BRSR, why it is required, and the second part would be take the data from them, and again to check the accuracy of that data. So moving onwards, so the ICSI has issued the guidelines note on the third-party BRSR assurance on BRSR code. So from that, definitions are given on the assessment assurance, what is limited assurance and what is reasonable assurance. So assessment is the process to evaluate and verify the information which is contained in the report by an independent qualified professional like a assurance provider. Second is about assurance. Assurance is the process of validation and or verification of information and data contained in the report. So there is a difference, although assessment standards are not yet issued by the industry standard forum. And when we talk about assurance, so at international level also, there are sustainability standards are issued, and also CA Institute has issued the sustainability standards to provide the assurance. Talking about the reasonable assurance, it means the highest level, but not an absolute level of assurance. And it is wider in scope than the limited assurance. And limited assurance means as assurance engagement in which assurance provider collects less evidence to provide the sufficient, which are sufficient for an expression of conclusion.
But only correct me if I'm wrong. I think SEBI has as per the latest circular, they have removed the limited and reasonable. So they are talking about assurance and assessment. That
Correct.
Limited or reasonable, that thing they have removed.
Yeah. The word they have.
Although I have seen the assessors, they use this word, but SEBI has removed from their circulars.
Yes. From March 2025 circular, the SEBI, not March, from January 2026, the LODR amendment, they have removed the word reasonable.
Correct. But in the BRSR section A, there are certain information. One of the information is a type of assessment done.
Yes.
So although SEBI has removed reliable, reasonable, and limited, in that questionnaire, you'll have to mention whether it is limited or reasonable.
Yeah, it is actually not amended. They've although amended.
It is not amended.
Yeah. So moving onwards, as Sir has already mentioned about the criteria factor.
The 1 minute only. The only thing is that if SEBI says it is assurance, how they are not said it is limited assurance or a reasonable assurance, then we have to take it per se it is a reasonable assurance, not a limited assurance. See, because when they say that it is a limited assurance or a reasonable assurance, then we have a choice. When they say simply assurance means what? It is a comprehensive assurance, So in fact, I tend to say that it is a reasonable assurance. That means you have to have a comprehensive comprehensive assurance, you have to get it done. So that is the reason I always say that though it is not mandatory today, but as a voluntary this thing, it is always advisable to get this thing done, assurance thing done, so that you will come to know about the gaps, if any, about the improvement of things, because the assurance provider might be providing that assurance to some 4 or 5 companies. So he can always bring the improvements in the process charts and process and whatever the processes the company is following and all those things. It's always advisable to do that. No doubt there will be a cost involved, and always the compliance officer has to take that approval from the CFO concerned, and there will be a hesitation in incurring the extra cost. But it is always it is not a cost. It is a kind of investment for compliance. I take it like that. So the compliance officers too may have to convince their respective CFOs, saying that this is going to be a kind of an investment as far as the future is concerned. So you are improving the processes right from now onwards.
So we have already actually spoken a bit about on the evaluation of assurance provider, on what basis companies should appoint the assurance provider. So first is about expertise. Although SEBI has not clarified on the criteria, who can be comes as a expertise. Second would be a independence, that assurance provider should not have any conflict of interest with the reported entity. So for instance, it should be ensured that the assurance provider or any of its associates do not sell its product or provide any non-audit or non-assurance related services, including consulting services, to the reported entity.
So I agree with